Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Kirkpatrick. I'm an author, idiot, and loin streamer. And today we're going to finish up with what I drew in the second quarter of this year, which is April through June. I already did one video on this last month. And that was just pictures from April through part of May because I drew so many pictures during last quarter. Too many pictures when I should be practicing as opposed to just whatever it is I'm doing. Every so often I end up with something that I'm like, this is okay, but then also I'm like, oof. So we're gonna get to the second half of those. So that happens before we get to the end of the third quarter, and I have another video for you of drawings. But before we get started, number one, if you enjoy what I do here on the channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Number two, if you would like to be featured on the channel, check out the links down in the description below. Number one way to be featured is through Lemoi, the monthly prompt writing contest, where I invite you guys to write a short story or a fragment to a prompt. And then on the first Monday video of the month, we go through a couple of those prompts together and bask in the creativity of this community. It is a beautiful, not sight to behold, because there are just incredible authors among you, incredible creative minds. The second way to be featured here is if you are an indie author and you have a book out or a book coming out, submit your first chapter and your cover to the Fresh Meat feature, and they will be read here on the channel at a random interval, always on a Monday, just not the first one. And then the third thing is if you would like to check out any of my books, they are available down in the description below. Linktree links to a couple of places, but you can get them anywhere that you get books, including your local library. And Bleed More, Body More 3, which is called Grieve More, Body More, will be out in October. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. This is going to be another pretty long video, which is why, they were cut into two, because there are a lot of pictures to go through. So some of it will be maybe talking about the characters, probably talking about the characters in case you don't have an introduction to them. Also, I would like to say that if you want to check out any of the stories that I currently have available, I mean, my novels, and then the Easties and the Westies, which are not available, but I do talk about them and I draw them. If you go to my website, steakhousebooks.com, a new page has been added that is character art galleries for images that I've drawn and images that other people have drawn for any of these stories. The Bleed More, Body More, Dead End Drive, Boom, Easties, and Westies can all be seen on there. Maybe not all of the pictures that I've drawn are on there, because I sort of kept the worst ones off. But there are pictures by various artists for any of those. And if you end up drawing anything for me, it could end up on that website. But otherwise, if you want to just check out art, get to know some of my characters, that is a great place to go for how they look. And then books, obviously. Easties and Westies are coming after Body More is finished. I need to finish a 0, and then we're boom shakalaka boom, and then it's one of the Easties or Westies. So here we go. Looks like we are starting out with a picture of Shigemi, who is among the Easties crowd. I'm still getting to figure out how I like to draw. I say that as I don't know. I try to do different emotions, and I've been trying to do different manners of doing line art and doing sketches and doing faces and doing hair so I can figure it out, and I just don't know what I'm doing. I think this is before I figured out how to color the lines, because I remember looking at Sam's drawings and seeing, like, even on my freaking cover over here, I got this that he drew for me, and I'm like, how the frick did he change the color of some of these lines? And I only started figuring out how to do it. These guys, sheets, you'll see another one for Kaede. I have not finished Katsuo's, but I did those sheets so that I could have a couple of emojis for the Discord. So there are Shigemi, Michi, and Kaede chibi emojis. I have not finished Katsuo yet. Shame on me. This was just a redraw of the Junichi picture that I did back in January when I was first initially drawing Katsuo and all of his brothers. I'll put a comparison up on the screen, but I wanted to redraw just like I redrew Hitomi to see how things had changed for me, and redrawing a previously drawn picture is one of the best ways to do that. So this was my Junichi redraw. I have not redrawn Shiguru yet, so he's still looking pretty rough. All I can say about Shiguru. I'm sorry, son. I think I even need to draw Shiguru with glasses. Yeah, Shiguru's hair was never really settled either. Anyway, aside from drawing, and I mean, we're gonna get into the year of the Michi. The year of the Michi. It's gonna be Michi season. May was Michi season, I swear. So this is a picture of Katsuna, which is Katsuo's drag alter ego. And I was actually drawing this one on a voice chat with a couple other people, and we were given we chose for ourselves the theme of Kitsune. And so then I was like, well, what am I gonna draw for Kitsune? Oh, I'm gonna draw Kitsune Kitsuna, because why not? And it gave me an excuse to attempt to draw a body. What I really like about Kitsuna is that he has all of the orange colors and the bright colors, but so does Michi. Like, both Michi, all of my Easties characters have very bright color palettes and just warm and nice color palettes, which I am comparing at the moment to Marcella and Billy. And I don't think that I would say either of them have bright color palettes. I mean, like, Billy is... Not Billy. Marcella has blonde hair and pale skin, but she wears a darker dress. And then Billy has darker hair. And you'll see some of her at the end of this video. Billy, you're not going to see Marcella until my next video, because I only first drew Marcella in June. And then I've had a couple of drawings of Marcella since then, so you'll see some of those again in July, not June. I didn't draw any in June. But this is fun, and what I really like about Katsuna is, so he's got the tattoos on his shoulders and his arms, and so then if he's wearing his Tubi dress, because you know he's got a Tubi dress, if he wants to hide his tattoos, he gotta be doing something to cover those shoulders, so he's got that fuzzy jacket, and we all know that Katsuo is kind of a ham, and also kind of a showy offer person, as if a ham is not a showy offer person. This, I had just seen a picture on Twitter, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to draw a stylized version. I think I was actually talking to Monty when I was drawing this, and a lot of the time when I'm just talking or listening, I want to just be doing something specifically, and so then, like, drawing is a great way to be listening and to be kind of doing something at the same time. Oh, we got to a Michi where she was slapped. So then there are a couple of situations. Yeah, this is when she was slapped. I wasn't going to say there are a couple of situations when she cries. There are a couple of situations. This is when she is slapped because she says that she is interested in dating Kaede. And Kaede is obviously kind of a dangerous man. And she doesn't know this, but her parents were actually killed in a targeted attack by the Yakuza in order to get her grandfather to lay off, because her grandfather worked for the Criminal Investigation Unit in Osaka, and it was a choice move on their part to take out the son, because the grandfather was old enough to retire anyway, or to, and if they killed the father, then the son might actually want to go and seek vengeance. So they wanted to put a nip in this tracking situation that was going on. And so Grandpa never told Michi that her parents died because of his job. They died when she was 4 years old. So then now, as she's an adult and she's working as a cabaret girl, she eventually meets Kaede at the club, because Kaede is the bodyguard for Shigemi, and she just falls head over heels in love with him and decides, she wants to date him. And when she says that she is interested in him, well, she doesn't even have to say it. She just talks. She rambles when she is excited about something, and she'd been talking freaking nonstop. I struggled so much with this freaking hair. She talks nonstop to her grandparents. They both know that she's got a crush. And when her grandfather says that she needs to stay away from him, not see him, nothing, she argues with him, which she doesn't normally do. And she says she is going to see him and that he is a good man. And Grandpa doesn't know. And Grandpa's like, I know him because you don't know monsters. And she says something like, well, I know Kaede better than you know him. And then she gets slapped and she doesn't back down and it creates a rift, but Grandpa kind of gives in and he's like, because I'm going to lose the only connection I have to my son, which is in my granddaughter, if I keep fighting her on this. And so he reluctantly starts allowing. I don't know how. I shouldn't say I don't know how. Katsuo wore the freaking leisure suit once, ironically. And he was like, you know how comfortable this... I get why they're calling it a leisure suit. I freaking love it. And then he just never took it off again. So now Katsuo's actual outfit, when he wants to dress himself, but he doesn't want to wear like the tux and he doesn't want to be totally dressed down, is that freaking... the red shirt and the cheetah pants. Oh my gosh. Kaede and Katsuo are such good brothers, though. They've been such a delight to be able to develop together. So this was me struggling to draw a butt. Fortunately, you don't have to see the butt in the finished picture, but my gosh, is sketching scary, and then you start doing the line work with the line art, and that's scary also, because you're like, I was hoping that this would look better by the time I got to doing the freaking line art. Nope. No, it does not get any better. But that's just practicing. So I'm not very much further along with my my art, or with my writing goals, but let's talk about some writing goals. Let's talk about what I've been up to recently, and I'll talk about some of that, I think, in the next art video, because some of the images that I did were when I was with Sam. So this month I actually took a couple days off ish, like a week and a half. I should say a week and a half. That's a more accurate way to say it. And I hung out with my best friend for life, Sam. We met in 2008 online, 2007, 2008 online, Gaia partners. We started role-playing. It's funny because we like ran with the same circle of people. This was in the heyday of Gaia, where you couldn't have a role-play on the front page for more than like 5 seconds. And we ran with like the same group of about 10, 11, 12 people, except he was like friends with another group of people that were in that subgroup, and I was friends with another side, and they were also just kind of a great group of friends. So we were in the same places but didn't know for a couple of years, and then we joined the same storytelling groups, and then we started plotting together. Oh my gosh, I was so excited for this hair. It was looking so good. I was so excited. I've never drawn hair again that good, where it's got like the little whoosh in the back, and it looks so good. Oh my gosh. Her face could be a little better, but oh my gosh. I was so excited for this picture. It's still fixing her face. Anyway, Sam and I met online in 2007, 2008, and then we kind of just bonded over plotting our characters together, and then eventually we just started being friends. This is how I also started really playing Left 4 Dead 2, so I'm very fond of Left 4 Dead 2 because it's how I bonded with Sam initially for a very long time, aside from role plays. And then in 2012, on my 21st birthday, maybe the day after my 21st birthday, I flew out of Alaska to meet him. And I stayed with him for 3 months, and we went to a couple anime conventions. And I don't know. The rest is history. I have so many like fond memories. There was a flash flood in 2012. There's just, I don't know how many of this I should say. But so then we met in 2012, and then he flew down to see me in 2014 and then in 2016 for my graduation, and then I flew up to see him in 2018 for his graduation. And we've just kept a steady flow of seeing each other. We talk to each other all the time. He's the one that's done all of my covers so far because he is wonderful and insanely talented and insanely generous, and a part of my family. Anyway, how did I even get on this? I don't recall where this came from. Oh yeah, because that's what I was doing when I took the week and a half off. Sam came down for a convention. Maybe you saw the picture of my Majima outfit over on community tab. So if not, there are at least 2 pictures over there. And we did a couple of things, and that also included some things with another person. I don't want to be too giving with privacy in case that is a thing that is cared about. And we had a really good time, and I cried like I always do, like a freaking little baby when people leave. And yeah, it was a good time. And now I'm just sad. I'm back to the routine of what I've been doing, but I didn't do much writing during that, like, at all. I also didn't do much drawing. I did like 3 drawings. I somehow got 3 or 4 drawings done. They were all done during the convention. I also somehow, there were some mistakes made. Anyway, to talk about the picture for a second. This was drawn for the Barbie and Ken meme that was going around a little while ago. I wanted to do it, and I immediately thought of Shigemi and Katsuo, and so I drew Shigemi and Katsuo, and you'll see Katsuo here in a second, but I knew that I wanted to draw them, so I drew them, and, oh, there's Katsuo. So I did that. Now that it's the end of June, I'm not as far along as I'd hoped that I would be. I'm still in the first revision of Bodymore Zero. I'm about 35,000 words into it out of probably what's going to be 110, 120,000 words. I just rewrote a scene. I have to finish that scene off. It's almost at the cap of that scene. I have the hardest rewriting scene so far that's still got to come up because it's a complete change to what was going on, and I still have to vibe it out. And then I know that some of the later chapters are going to change some. But I love revision because revision is such a discovery phase for me, because first draft is a discovery phase because I'm kind of going through the story and figuring out what is actually happening, what the characters' needs are. And then in revision, characters are starting to show up more than previously. Scenes change because I've got a better idea of the needs. Like, the first time Ralph goes to Cave Mortem, when he becomes a medium. And the current first draft version of that scene is kind of not anywhere as meaningful as it is going to be, because the place where Ralph goes when he becomes a medium is going to be referenced in the Numina series and become a very, very big thing. Well, I should say it's referenced in Bodymore because it's a big deal in the Numina series. And so it'll be a cool crossover. You'll be able to understand what's going on without knowing the background of Numina, but you'll get a bigger picture of what it is that Ralph is being inducted into by reading the Numina series when it comes out. So what Monty and I are working on is going to be it's not necessary to read both, but you get more story if you read both. And so I think it's going to be a really cool project when it comes out at the end and you get to see the kind of smaller universe version of things and then the bigger cosmic universe of things, because Bodymore is a very contained version of things. Anyway, after drawing Katsuo and Shigemi, I obviously also wanted to ended up drawing Michi and Kaede, and that's partially because Monty asked if I was going to draw them, and initially I said no because I didn't have any plans to actually draw them for this. And then I was on another voice chat with some people and we were having a drawing time. And so then I was like, you know what? Okay, let's go ahead and see what we can do about this. And it's funny because since I mentioned that Michi's grandfather was Osaka the detectives, like if they all got in trouble, and especially with Michi with them, the cops would know who Michi is because of who her grandfather is. And she would just be like given the great, like, they'd be so nice to her because she is just, She is a bundle of sunshine that everybody is just on their best behavior around, and she makes everybody smile, and that is what I like about her. I know that this means that we are now officially in June, because one of the first, if not the first drawing that I did in June was an attempt at trying to draw Joey, which I'm not very good at. Because I've never actually, this was, I think, the first time that I really drew Joey, aside from the chibi that I drew before. And I think that's in part because, one, her hair is difficult to draw. You wouldn't think that it is, but it kind of is to get that emo style haircut down. But two, because I have never drawn her before. And I know that my first drawings of people are usually very experimental. And so this just is what it is. She looked so much younger in this than she actually is in the story. So this is probably not Joey at 23. This is closer to Joey at probably when her dad just died and came back, because this is, I mean, she's got her lip ring. I could take the lip ring off and then she could be a child, but her face is not the right length to be her 23-year-old self. Though, in talking to Monty, we were talking about how, so Bodymore is kind of contemporary, but it's timelessly contemporary, but the style of it is very mid-2000s and late 2000s. And part of that, it looks like, is a sort of arrested development that kind of happened when the trauma happened. Because even with Casey and Ralph, they were active in the mid-2000s with their band. And then Casey died. That's not really a spoiler, because like in book 2, when you meet Casey and Ralph for the first time, Joey is like, hey, he's a ghost. Oh my gosh, this is the best drawing that I've ever done of Katsuo to date. Anyway, so in the second book, Joey meets Casey and Ralph at the bar, and she immediately knows that he's a ghost because she can see the signs. And so that's not really a spoiler, since the whole time you know Casey, you know that he's dead. And you get to see the moment that he died in book 3 through a flashback sort of scene, and then you actually get to see it happen in real time in Zero as it happens in front of Ralph, and then as Ralph, I think, lives through it. I don't remember if I kept that, as Ralph gets to see the moment that Casey was stabbed. I think he does. Because they weren't in the same room, but as Casey becomes a medium and gives Casey his heart back, he obviously sees all of Casey's memories. So if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend that you read Bodymore 1 and 2, especially 2, because Ralph and Casey were a sweet surprise that I had no idea was coming. Because when I actually started writing Bodymore, it was just going to be a one-off, and then I got to the end of book 1, and I realized that Joey's story hadn't ended yet. There was more to it. And so then I started conceiving what Bodymore 2 was going to be, and then I got an idea of what Bodymore 3 was going to be, and Bodymore 3 had a couple different directions that it could have gone in that I remember writing things in for, and then the revision got rid of a bunch of red herrings of where it could have gone. There was actually the idea of like a harvest moon, and just like this night where the moon was blood red and the ravens were getting hungry and the ghosts of the city were going to get like really, really rowdy, and it was going to be a bloodbath. But that's not what Bodymore 3 is anymore. Bodymore 3 actually has more ties into Numina. And again, you're not going to need to read Numina or know anything about Numina in order to see and understand Bodymore 3, because you're still in Joey's perspective. So you're getting her perspective on things, and she doesn't have any of the information of what is going on in Baltimore. You get a better inkling of it through Bodymore 0 as you kind of start to see what Ralph sees and how Ralph sees the world and what Ralph was sort of inducted into. And then Bodymore 3 will also, you'll get plenty of sense on like who is in Bodymore 3, but you'll understand better what the stakes are by reading 0 and reading Numina, because the second book in the Numina series, which is going to be called Grief Eater, is going to take place in Baltimore and will give so many answers to what it is that Joey is experiencing and what Ralph and Casey are doing and why Ralph is stuck inside of that bar, why he never leaves. You get a good hint of it in Zero. I mean, you get to see some bad things happening when Ralph leaves the bar and why he doesn't leave the bar. But you don't necessarily know who any of these people are. And part of that is because Casey doesn't know who any of these people are, and Ralph doesn't really know who any of these people are because they're so isolated. So going back to the drawing really quick, I realized, obviously, I haven't drawn so many of my characters. I have so many characters, and I haven't drawn very many of them because I've been obsessively drawing the Easties and now the Westies. So at the midsection, I think, of June or the early June, I drew this picture of Blake because then I was like, hey, I can drop this for 4th of July because Blake is an American girl and her story is relevant to that. And so then I drew that, and I obviously wanted to do a kind of challenging facial direction. This was a Majima that I drew because somebody in the chat had said they wanted to see what it would look like if I drew a Majima, since I don't think I had drawn Majima up to this point, really. And so then I was just drawing a Majima Chibi. I know that I'll do it again. I'm pretty sure that I've drawn Majima a couple of times since. Yep, I have a Majima Chibi for July. I actually have 2 Majima Chibis for July. I have drawn Majima for another picture, one that actually has Katsuo in it. And I have a picture that I'm trying or started to draw with all 4 of the guys from the 2 generations. You've got Nishiki and Majima and Kaede and Katsuo. But I haven't done more than kind of started because I'm afraid of Nishiki's hair. It's the kind of hair that I've always had troubles with. Oh my gosh, this was the start. Actually, I should say the Michi with the hair and just the shirt was the start of the sexy drawings, but this was the start of the nipples. There are no nipples in this finished product, but I can't say that I have not drawn nipples at this point. Wait, no, didn't I draw a Shigemi? I drew a Shigemi with nipples. That was the start, for real. But I've drawn a couple of them now. I just recently drew some Katsuo nipples. You'll see that in July. Look forward to it. I'm sorry. But, just, I told you, it is the year of the Michi. I hope you like looking at her beautiful self, because when I'm like, I don't know what to draw, let's draw this bombshell. And she is a bombshell, and she is a sunshine of a character. I think she's one of my favorite characters that I've created, especially, well, I mean, I love Casey and Ralph. I can't even, nothing competes with those two and their dynamic. But also, there is nothing like Michi. I have no characters like Michi, because she is just so happy and so positive, but she's also so self-conscious in just the way that she thinks that she loves interacting with people, and she loves helping people, and she loves listening to people, because they have so many stories that she has never heard and she has never lived through and she could never live through. And so she loves, one of her favorite things is going down to the Sotenbori boardwalk and like listening to the fishermen talk as they fish, and she will just be there forever. She will bring them food and drink from the kombini and then just listen to them talk. And so that's her favorite thing. But then she meets Kaede and she starts falling in love with Kaede, and he is traveled and he seems smart and he is strong, and she thinks that she is too stupid and too boring to actually be good enough for him. Meanwhile, he's over there being like, she is so beautiful and so kind, and he doesn't think that he is good enough for her, but he still does try to, you know, shoot a shot and just letting her know that he is interested, but waiting for her to make the move because he doesn't want to be pushy. It is the sweetest love story. I mean, the Easties has so many sweet, unique love stories between Naoki and Nishiki and Majima and Hitomi and Katsuo and Shigemi and then Kaede and Michi. They are all so unique and sweet and wonderful. And that's why they will be written, okay? I'm sorry that you can only listen to me talk about them at this point. So I drew this one to make up for that last picture that was Naoki because I felt really bad about how that Naoki picture turned out. Also, I realized at this point that one of the big things that I constantly keep doing is big hair. If you watch, it's not just Michi. It is not. That freaking last Hitomi had big hair too. But if you watch my female characters going forward, you will see big hair. I just have been letting the hair get wild. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So then I wanted to make up for it by drawing a pretty picture, cute picture of Naoki in her flower uniform, flower shop uniform with her little apron, because Naoki works in a flower shop in Tokyo. And obviously, then I couldn't just draw Naoki. I had to draw all of the girls. And this is what spurned on me trying to draw all 4 of the guys, was for a companion piece to go with this picture. And all of the girls are so unique in how they are and who they are and where they come from and what they do. I just love them so much. The friendships between these girls too. It's good stuff. Not to toot my own horn, but these characters, and you know, I mean, I will toot Montana's horn, but these characters are so wonderful. As I'm looking down here at this Marcella picture that I'm working on. Her hand, man, don't look at her hand. I'm working on these hands, but my guys. Okay, so getting back to story time, where am I with my ideas? That's right, I'm in the middle, like almost a third into Bodymore Zero, and I need to step on the gas in July so I can finish Bodymore Zero. I need to go through do another edit round on Bodymore 3 so that it is ready to send out, especially. But like, if you guys get in the arc, be aware that it's going to be in an arc form. I've been through it a bunch of times and have had it edited, but there's always something. This is the start of the meme pictures because Toasty was sending pictures saying, hey, you should draw a character doing this. And so then Katsuo got the booger face. Also, the great thing about having so many characters is that when I want to start trying out and messing with a style or practicing a style, I have so many characters to just draw through that style. So going back to my writing workflow, I know there's so much stuff. And it's really hard too because I can't edit a book and like read at the same time because I'm the kind of person that like really focuses in. So if I want to do something, I just want to get it done, which is why I'm speeding through like all of the ALA books as much as I can. And that's just pretty much all that I'm doing because it is like a feeder situation where you put it in and then it's blip and then it's done and it's over. And I kind of get obsessive with that at work too, where if I have something to do, it's just bloop. That's how I got done with a semester's worth of work in like 2 weeks because it was a go at your own pace thing for my graduates class. And so I just was constantly feeding like every day another chapter until I was done with it in 2 to 3 weeks. And then that class was over for all of semester. And so when I'm working on a book, especially if I'm doing an edit and I just want to see the flow all the way through to make sure it all the way through works, Bodymore 3 will take me probably 3 to 4 days to get through the whole book again with just editing it and just doing a copy edit, I should say, where I'm reading it and listening to it and just having it go. This was also another like meme image that Toasty shared and said, hey, you should draw this. And so I was like, I got you, fam. Obviously Kaede, he is so cute. I love him so much. So I need to do that. So that's going to take 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 days. I also only have 3 ALA books left at this point to read. I have 3 that I've read that have their reviews written that I just need to record them. Obviously, I'm not doing a review this week, but I will be reviewing Lawn Boy next week, which is number 2 from 2021. And yeah, I have A Court of Mist and Fury, which was on 2022. And then I also have Genderqueer ready to go for a recording, which is #1 on 2021 and 2022. The last 3 books that we're looking at for the ALA are Crank, which is a 577-page poetry book on freaking drugs, a drug trip that led to the death of someone's daughter. I think it's biographical-ish, inspired by the author's daughter and what happened with the author's daughter. The next one is Looking for Alaska and by John Green. And then the final one is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So that's what I have to look forward to for the end of the ALA's list for this year and last year, for 2021 and 2022. And so then those will be done and I can get on to actually reading other books, because I have a backlog of books. Things like, oh my gosh. Well, Poison City is on there, and I need to get into Den of Sparrows to get ready for H.H. Miller's 3rd book, which is coming out in October, and I need to read Blood and Body, which has been on my list for a while, and I just have so many books to read. And I can't read while I'm editing, so that's also a problem. And usually also when I edit, I have a harder time making sure that I'm also writing, because I spend so much time just focusing on the editing. So I need to get better at my time management during the day in order to start being able to do all of what I'm trying to do. And then there's like trying to study language and looking at this problem child over here. You can't see it. I don't want to talk about it because I'm kind of angry and ashamed and upset at it right now. And there's just... So anyway, I hope that some of you will check out Bodymore 3, because I've worked really, really hard on it. And I've been trying really hard to iron out the stuff in it, but I'm really proud of it. So if you've been following Bodymore, if you're interested in Bodymore, the first one is kind of the idea behind Bodymore in general is depressing, but it's not a depressing story. It does have an arc, and I know that Joey is a difficult character. She is not very likable, I don't think, especially not in the first book. I would say probably especially not in the second book, because she is at her worst. In the second book, you've got her with ghost rage. She is throwing things. She is not caring about killing people. She is lying to her boyfriend. Like, she is not in a good place at all. And it can be tough. But the story of Bodymore overall, the whole thing, is one of love. And it's not just romantic love. It's a story of familial love. It's a story of how those people caring about you, regardless of not because you're perfect, and not ignoring the bad things that you've done, but in spite of your flaws, because you're willing to work on it. One of my favorite things in Bodymore 3 is that Jag, and you see it in Bodymore 2 also, where he's like, Joey, are we done? And she has to be the one to be like, no, I'm trying, I'm working on this. I really swear that I care and I want to work on this, and I'm just having a hard time. And it's as long as she's willing to put in the effort and that she is still devoted to this, that he is still there. Because if at any point Joey told Jag that she was not doing this anymore, there are moments in Bodymore 2 where Jag gives Joey moments to make choices of her own. And it's not an ultimatum, but it's very clear that she has a decision to make. And based on what she says, he might walk away. And she has to choose. Oh my gosh. Some of this shading looks better than I remember on these sweaters. Of course, there's the set. You can find that set on my website, by the way, where a lot of these pictures actually are now. To view in the character art section. But one of my favorite things with 3 is that Jag calls Joey out on her lying and is like, you need to stop doing this. And Joey has to face up for the consequences of her actions. And she actually starts seeing the way that she's affected other people and the effects that she's had on other people that she hasn't really noticed, because she's been so focused on herself. Because she's been so focused on her emotions in the first 2 books, and she realizes how selfish she's been and how impulsive she's been and how she never thinks ahead and how that has affected her. And she's so much like her dad. And that's not something that she ever wanted to be. And so, yeah, she's difficult in book 1 and book 2. And I really don't expect anybody to like her in book 1 or book 2. I really even don't expect anyone to like her in book 3 because she is a difficult character. But you do see character growth, and you do see her seeing what she has been doing. And it catching up to her. And Bodymore 3 does end on a positive note, because at the end of the line, the story of the whole thing, it's about love and family and how those people that love you make the difference in your life. And I've realized that that is something that is in a lot of the stories that I write. So you won't just see it with Jag and Joey. You also saw it with Wayland and Joey in the books. And you see it with Donnie and Joey, and the chances that Donnie gave Joey when he first saw her, and that he still gives her in the later books. You see it with, I mean, I'm not going to call it love because it's not, but you see it in the grace that Detective Stone shows Joey, even when she's being hard to handle and hard to deal with, and obviously very biased towards him because she's got opinions and she's had experiences that are not great with the cops, and she's judging all of the cops the same, and he gets that, but he still gives her the chance. And so by the end of book 3, I hope that it leaves you with a positive feeling, because I think that the ending of it is very positive and very nice, and it shows the change in Joey. But to speak more on how it's not just romantic love, you get more of the relationship between Casey and Ralph in book 3 that you'll then see in book 0, which is so different. Like, it's the same, but it's different, because Casey was a wild man. He is still a wild man, but he is like a controlled wild man in book 3. Like 10 years after 0, wild man, controlled wild man. He knows how to use his wildness. But in 0, he is just fucking everybody up. And he knows it. He's even a dick to Ralph. And that's the biggest change. But they are brothers in both of the books. Oh, this was just me doing practices on how to draw bodies. And then I just started drawing a picture of Shigemi, because I was like, you know what? Let's do this, because I kind of like this body. I feel like I got a sense. I wanted to, after drawing a couple of torsos, I was like, let's see if we could put some of this torso work into an image. As you can see, I just referenced my own drawing on here. Oh my gosh. But it's only because of Ralph that Casey is able to become the person that he becomes in 3, where he has devotion, and he actually has grace, and he actually has some patience for Joey, even though he doesn't have a lot of patience for Joey. Because he's got his own stuff that he's dealing with. And I hope that that comes through in the series, because I realize that that is a lot of what I write. Oh, this is another meme from Toasty. Like in Dead End Drive, if you pay attention to the storytelling in that, it's a lot of individuals focused on themselves versus a family unit, and the family unit is stronger together, and none of the people in that family unit would survive without the other ones. They all bring something to the moment, to the table, and they rely on each other, and none of them could do it alone. You can see where their strengths lie just in the way that they operate, in the way that they help each other. And that's what I really like in analyzing storytelling, is finding those patterns and finding what is being said in the stories through those bigger picture things. If you look at, I like in Dead End Drive especially, where you see the impact that Bertrand had on both Gavin and Anna, and that makes a difference in Gavin having duty, a sense of duty, a sense of respect for life, a sense of what he is doing, and a appreciation for taking care of the next generation, which is why he takes care of Kelly. And then you see the impact that Bertrand also had on his daughter Anna, and that at the end of the day, Bertrand still helps Anna with the lighter that she has from him. And so if you haven't read it yet, I don't want to spoil too much about it. Maybe I will do a more in-depth video again talking about some of my books at a later date, but since I'm just talking about in general with some drawings on the side here, I don't want to get into too much spoiler territory. But clearly, like, we're getting into more Michi glam because she is just so fun to draw. She has a good time. I can't wait to show you some of the newer Michi pictures. We got some other Michi picture. Oh, my best Michi picture yet is coming up on here. It's at the end of the freaking, it's almost at the end of all of this. But Michi is just such a happy girl most of the time until she gets a little... She is very expressive, a little over the top levels of expressive. She can cry when she has way too many emotions, especially happy emotions. Obviously, she cried when she thought that she was too stupid to ever have somebody like Kaede be interested in her or to be worthy of Kaede. This was, I could have done her hair better, but this was just wanting to try contouring the face some and focusing on the face and the eye. This isn't the birth of. Did I misorder these? I might have misordered these. But this was the first drawing that was not the chibi sketch idea of Billy from the new East Westies series, which is going to be... It's not going to be a series, I don't think. But who knows what the future holds? But these are the characters that are inspired by playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Billy is an outlaw and twin to her brother Ace. Her actual name is Annabelle Cassidy, and her father was William Cassidy, or better known as Bill Cassidy, and they had the Cassidy Blue Eyes, or the Cassidy Cobalts, as they're called, because they are so bright. But so Billy is... I'm trying to figure out her hair so bad. Okay, this is the actual first drawing of the twins when I was like, okay, I've got an idea for what I want to do. This is usually when I'm trying to figure out an appearance for characters, I kind of draw them in a chibi form to figure out how I want to start laying them out. So then I can start developing them more in a better picture. And this was just to see if I kind of liked the vibe of how they would look and if I could get the right hair color for them, because I saw them immediately with this dusty brown hair. And initially, Ace's name was Mordecai, but I settled on Ike because I like Ike Cassidy so much more than Mordecai Cassidy. Like, Annabelle and Ike sounds so much better. So here we're going to have another picture of, I don't know, I was just testing out hair. But here we're going to have another picture of Billy. And obviously, she claimed her dad's name as her outlaw name, so instead of Bill, it's Billy. And she wears her brother's clothes when she goes to town so that she can hide her look a little bit. Obviously, she's kind of unique looking, her and her brother, with their Cassidy Cobalts and their freckles and a little bit of their dusty brown hair. So she's gonna hide her looks a little bit when they go into town. She is very quiet though, but initially when I started creating her, I thought that she was going to be a selective mute, and she is still very, very quiet. Let's be honest there. But it's more, I think, her personality just developed in being she's very focused on what she's doing. She's a good hunter. She also manages, like, the food at the camp space. She is the one that goes out to catch the food because she is very small. She's very light on her feet. She's much quieter than her brothers. And I think the reason that she ended up developing as a more quiet personality, and obviously this even happened before Tommy was a thing, but both Ace and Tommy, her two older brothers, they butt heads. They are louder. They are more forceful. And so, like, Tommy is the actual leader of their family unit. And I think she kind of let the brothers kind of go at it, because Ace will fight Tommy and eventually say, okay, Tommy is the one making the end-all be-all decision, even when he fights him. But I think Billy kind of just let them do that. She's not going to get involved in that. She's just going to go wherever they need to go and do what they need to do. And Tommy has been trustworthy about all of that. Her silence has been making more and more sense, but it's just really funny, especially because Billy eventually falls for this guy that is the complete opposite of her brothers. Obviously, her brothers are outlaws alongside her, and they are very brutal guys. They don't have a problem executing, but whenever they execute people behind them, they usually tell Billy to go forward because their father taught them to not let Billy kill anybody if they don't have to, because killing people changes a woman in a way that it's different than a man. And their dad did not want her getting blood on her hands like that if she didn't have to. So Tommy and Ike do their best job that they can to make sure that she doesn't have to kill anybody. This is the best picture of Michi that I have drawn so far, in my opinion. You can let me know if you go look at the gallery and you see a picture of her that you like more. I mean, other than the chibi. I just recently drew a chibi of her that is so good. But when I was drawing this, she got no mouth for a while because I'm like, I don't freaking know what to do with this mouth. This mouth looks so horrible. This line art is so freaking scary. I don't know what I'm doing here. It is not good. Ah! This is how my thought process goes all the time. It's like, okay, I want to draw this. I'm going to try to draw this. This sucks. Maybe if I add color, because I started adding that gray around the eyes and the mouth and the nose to kind of give it a little dimension, because I'm like, I feel like this makes it look a little better to my eyes when I'm like, this sucks. And look, her mouth is gone again because I could not figure out her freaking mouth. And then at some point, her mouth started making sense. It wouldn't have made sense without adding color, though. And then this is another picture where I'm like, I have no idea how I got her hair to look as good as it looks. And I spend the rest of my life trying to replicate it. And also, again, the nipples. I'm not trying to draw your attention, but Michi's a hottie, okay? She is a hottie. She is incredibly sweet. She is such a nice girl. She talks maybe a little too much, but she only has nice things to say, okay? And she talks especially more when she's excited, worked up, when she likes you. She kind of talks in circles. She doesn't realize that she's talking in circles. And then next thing she knows, she's like staring at somebody and they're not saying anything. And she's like, what is this, my third drawing of Billy, where I was trying to figure her out a little more. I was also trying to do her a little more glamorous because we were talking, I think at the time, of like having her attend an event as a con of some kind. And I'm like, okay, so, or I was also thinking about how she would look if she cleaned herself up, because obviously she keeps her hair tied back a lot, puts it in a hat, has it in braids so it stays out of the way. And so I was like, what would she look like if her hair was down? And then she had that bump and I could not fix the bump. And I told you, I've just been on this jive of making my character's hair so big. Michi's hair is big. Marcella's hair keeps getting big. I don't know what happened, but this is an aesthetic I have apparently adopted. And I'm kind of okay with it. I think it's pretty cute. You let me know. Anyway, I ended up starting her hair over because I just couldn't make it look right. I will retry to draw her hair again at some point where it's down, but girl, she's so quiet. You would never notice. I know, if I need to not get too into... I have my drawing pad in front of me, and I'm just like, this is dangerous. I could just start doing this so easily and then forget that I'm shooting a video and talking about my own drawings while I'm drawing more drawings. I get obsessive fairly easy, which is great for when I'm in a project, but bad when I want to do something else and I am brain stuck on doing the one thing already, which is why you see so many pictures of freaking Michi. Ace has not been the easiest to draw, but I will be honest with you, I am not great at drawing men because I've more been practicing my drawing of women. And I think that's just because they're easier to draw because they're so curvy, and the angular faces that I would like to be able to draw for men are very hard to do. At least for me, so I'm not there yet, but I keep practicing. And men's hair. I can do women's hair, especially I've been really practicing with the pushback hair. You know, Michi's got it, Marcella's got it, Katsuo's got it. But I think you can, definitely see a difference in the quality of my male pictures versus my female pictures, because I have a very hard time. But this is Ace. I'm still figuring out his personality much more than Billy's. But I say that and I still don't really know Billy's personality that much. I just know that she's quiet. I know that she's very focused. I know that she's not super modest because she's been brought up in, you know, outlaw land and living outdoors. And so she's very savvy with being outside. Whereas Marcella is like, nobody look at me while I'm naked. She is insanely modest. Her longtime boyfriend, let's be real, because Tommy is her longtime boyfriend, even though they haven't really said something like that before. She ran away with him, it's fine. But they've had a long-term relationship the whole time that they didn't really call a relationship because they didn't really define it as that sort of relationship, even though she was writing him letters about like her day so that he could pick them up when he came to visit her, which is so... But her relationship was a long distance relationship. They only saw each other, I don't know how many times over the course of a year. It was just whenever he came for a visit. Maybe, was it a dozen times? That's like once a month. If he came by more than once a month, that'd be pretty amazing. And she doesn't want... She's very modest. She's never thought about anything inappropriate happening between them because she's just a super good girl. And has never had that kind of relationship with a man. And they've been alone in rooms together a number of times and not had any issues. So this was a little picture that I was like, ooh, I saw it and I wanted to draw it with Katsuo. And then I thought the perfect thing would be to draw a sister image with Shigemi. And they were talking on the phone, obviously. She's got the koi fish phone while he has the... He has the tiger phone. And so that concludes pretty much all that I drew. I think I have some random sketches that I just didn't finish, like, at all, and or gave up on or deleted. So that concludes everything that I drew between the middle of May to the end of June. I know that I drew more than 30 images in May and in June. I think in total I drew over 70... Is it over 70 or 80 pictures between April, May, and June? I'm not entirely sure, but it was a very productive time. And there will be less, obviously, in July because of various things that happened, but hopefully we will continue to see some sort of improvement, not as much as I would like because I keep shunning the studies that I should be doing in order to figure out how to do what I want to do, but here we are making characters, making art, learning how to do things, and it has been a pleasure. I really think that getting back into drawing, aside from giving me so much to keep my mind and my hand busy, especially when I'm sad, because it's been a rough year for a couple of reasons. Even right now, it's rough for some things that I'm thinking about and facing, but it's helped me with visualizing things a lot. I'm getting better at seeing exactly what it is that I want in my head, and it's been easier to get commissions, and I think even being able to do a rendition of a character has helped in characterization so much. Being able to think, this is a character that I want to create, and then boom, it's down. Like, I could never have created Michi without first getting back into drawing and then trying to draw Michi, because so much of her personality comes out in the way that she draws, and that's why she is so fun to draw. And I hope that you get a good sense of her personality and Katsuo's personality and all of these people's personalities by the way that they are drawn, because I personally always see so much of their personalities in the way that they are drawn, in their expressions, in the way they carry themselves, just in the design of them. And so it's been really fun for me to get back into drawing, even on my bad days when I'm like, what is this? So hopefully you enjoy listening to me ramble about random things, looking at the art, and I will see you next time with the art video. With that said, thank you for hanging around. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Have a great weekend, and don't die.
Was that Wayland Cross in the trunk? Do you know, or is that something that's still being figured out?
The person in the trunk was not Wayland Cross.
Is he in trouble?
We don't know who did it, But as the owner of the car, the longer he's missing, the worse it looks for him.
Cross isn't a killer. For the last couple of years, the average number of murders in Baltimore has been over 300, and it's been going up. Mind you, that's only whatever the badges count as official murder, and believe me, there are people that don't count when they die. Wayland? If you're down here, tell me. I'm not talking to the badges, I've been looking for you. They found a body in your trunk. Way. Why? Did you do that? To the left, plain black letters read along the wall. You walked in the corridor. Once that ends, you chose the dark is on the right. My vision goes blurry, flickers black and black and black for longer intervals until I can't see anything at all. I'm not screaming anymore, but my voice echoes back to me. Where the hell am I? You're dead, Josephine. Even smart people do stupid shit sometimes, right?